VR gaming is absolutely amazing, and I definitely believe it is the future, but I still need to figure it out. Okay, it's not easy. There is just a handful of games that support it, and then when you start using mods, it's just a mess. Okay, but the potential is there, no doubt about it. But I want to talk about VR for other things that are not gaming, because the potential there is also just mind-blowing. And the problem is we don't have the content. But think about this. I was watching a UFC fight on VR, okay? And I guarantee you, 100%, if you can see that with all the quality possible. So I'm talking about a very high resolution, a very high frame rate, which we don't have. Okay, we see these VR videos, they are not the highest frame rate. But if we could see a sporting event, just in general, not only the UFC, on VR with the highest quality possible, it is almost better than being on the stadium. And here's why. Let's say you go to a UFC sporting event. My brother went to a UFC sporting event. It was Arasanya versus Joel Romero, which is a Cuban. Okay, that fight was terrible, but the previous fight was one of the best female UFC fights in the history. I mean, it was Sean Wei Lee against Joanna Jędrzejczyk. Okay, it was amazing. So my brother, he visited that. Now you go there, you pay $100 for a ticket, and you're sitting like a mile away. Okay, you can barely see the fights. But on VR, you can see the fight from the top of the cage. So imagine that your head is from the top of the cage, and you can see the fight better than if you were sitting on the public. It's not close. So now you're seeing the fight from any angle you want. You can change the angle and you can move your head too. And you see the characters. You see the people fighting like if they were in front of you. It doesn't compare. Okay? Maybe you cannot smell the place, of course, but you can hear as good as you need to hear. I mean, it's just a fight. It's just a bunch of noise. And you can see it better than if you're there. So imagine, I mean, I would be totally fine with paying for a pay-per-view if they give me VR with all the resolution possible that we can have on VR, and with a maximum frame rate, let's say 120 FPS, you get ridiculous motion clarity with a VR headset. We're talking about 0.25 milliseconds of persistence, I believe this have. I haven't been able to test the motion clarity yet because I don't know how. I'm gonna have to reach out to the Blurbusters chief or research on the Blurbusters forum, because I don't know how can I test motion clarity on this VR headset. But that's gonna be another video. I want to figure it out to test it for myself. But the thing is, the motion clarity is fantastic. So if you get a 120 FPS video or even 90 FPS video, it looks like over 1000 frames per second in motion. It's just absolutely amazing motion clarity. So you are there fully immersed, and it's just not close. Like it's a different thing. So now you might think, oh, that's not realistic. The sporting events are barely 720p 30 frames per second, and I don't know why. I just don't understand how. Especially, I mean, a pay-per-view, I guess, is like 1080p. I've never paid for any pay-per-views. Okay, so I'm not sure, but I doubt they are 4K 60 HDR. You let me know if you've ever paid for a UFC pay-per-view. But the thing is, I'm sure it is possible. It is totally possible. And these VR headsets they are not very expensive anymore. I mean, you can get this for like $250. So for someone who pays for pay-per-views, for example, to get a VR headset to enjoy VR pay-per-views, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, that's a no-brainer. You will be there in the stadium. You're paying for an experience that you cannot even get if you are there. That's a no-brainer, in my opinion. So I'm talking about UFC fights because that's, the sports that I've been following, more recently. But the same goes for soccer or American football or whatever. It's just a different level. The TV doesn't come even close to that. So in my opinion, it's just a wasted potential, man. This thing can give you a level of experience that you cannot get anywhere else. And all these companies, they need to realize that this shouldn't be a niche anymore because they are so cheap. And once the content is there, people will get the device. The thing is that they might be thinking the other way around. Oh, people don't have the device, so there's no reason to get the content out. But man, what I see is unlimited potential. It's just better for everything. Also, think about this, how much money people pay for a bigger and bigger TV. Okay. On VR, if you have enough resolution and frame rate and a great picture quality, which this doesn't have a great picture quality because it's just an LCD screen, but there are some VR headsets that are OLED. The motion clarity is not as good. It's like 2 milliseconds of persistence with the OLED VRs. I would need to test those to see if it's really a deal breaker. I don't think so. But imagine you can get that picture quality, and now on VR, a screen size is whatever you want. Okay? So we pay more money for a bigger screen size, like a 100-inch TV. That doesn't make any sense if you have one of these, because you can make the screen as big as you want. You can make it 200-inch. You have to literally turn your head around to see the screen. So if you have perfect blacks, great picture quality and color vibrancy and everything, and now the screen can be as big as you want, why would you get an enormous TV? It's not necessary. And now on top of that, we can get 3D. We can play basically almost every single game on 3D with this VR headset using Reshade. And I shared that on the previous video. Now, I haven't tested this, but I am almost sure that can work for videos too. Because you can use Reshade plus MVP or MPV, something like that, to get the HDR analysis tool working, or maybe even this mod that I share with you. I'm not sure if it's gonna work, but I believe so. Or maybe there is a player that can do that, and then you can watch every single video content on 3D. So you see a gigantic screen in front of you, and it is 3D. So again, man, it's just the potential is unlimited. And you just need to try this to see what I'm saying, man. Highly recommend you to get a cheap VR headset just to get into it. I'm not gonna say, go all in and spend $1,000 or $2,000-$3,000. There are some VR headsets that are very expensive. And the reason why I wouldn't recommend that yet is because, at least me, I don't know how to really take advantage of it yet. Because yes, the idea of 3D gaming is great, but I still need to figure out the settings so I can confidently tell you it is worth going all in. Okay, if I figure it out, even just 3D gaming, okay, and I get a smooth frame rate, no stuttering, no judder, and it just works for the majority of the games, no problem. I nailed the settings, and I'm like, okay, Now I can play any game with any screen size that I want on 3D with a great picture quality. Then I would even get a higher end VR headset. I'll be fine with that, and I would definitely recommend it. But I'm not there yet. So what I would say for now, just get something cheap. I mean, you can get one of these on the used market for like $100 even. People almost give it away, and I understand why. I'm sure many people get this and they give it a try. It's cool, but then there's no content. For gaming, it's just like a handful of games, not the games that you really want to play. So I'm sure a lot of people, they just have this collecting dust and they are not even using it. And I understand why. It's tough. But I'm almost sure that after you figure this out and you know how to really take advantage of this, it's just amazing. So that's what I'm gonna do. Of course, we're gonna talk about other things. I haven't had time to make videos at all. Okay, family first. Good news with the families, no issues. It's all, we're talking about the American dream. Okay, so it's all good. Okay, now I'm gonna have some days off, so I'm definitely gonna be making a lot of videos now. So I'm gonna be on vacations until January. So today is my last day, where I'm gonna be very, very busy. So I'm definitely gonna get into this. But it has been very difficult to me to make videos when I don't have time, the time that I need to figure this thing out. So I want to talk about VR, but I don't know anything about it. I'm just getting started, and then I don't have the time to figure it out. So it has been very difficult. But I will definitely be making a lot more videos, okay? And I will talk about other things. I want to give you also my impressions about the Game Awards and this new 3D monitors coming out. I want to see more, learn more about the specs, maybe see if I can do some research about it and give you my impressions about that too. So yeah, let me know your thoughts and opinions. If you have a VR headset, if you tried what I'm talking about, sporting events, basically on this thing is another level. I mean, just imagine watching the Olympic Games, and you can switch. So imagine to have a platform where you can watch the entire Olympic Games. You can switch from any sport you want in real time, live, and you can follow your country or the athletes that you follow in real time. And when you switch, you are there. Literally, you are in the best seat, or even better than in the best seat. You're like right there. Imagine, I don't know, the 100-meter race, the final. You are there at the starting line. You're seeing the athletes in real time, like live. It's just a perspective that you cannot get. That would sell these things like hotcakes. Just to announce that, okay, next Olympic Games are gonna be VR. Maximum resolution, maximum frame rate, and whatever. You need to pay like a streaming service as a premium streaming service or whatever it costs. It would be worth it because it's like going there. Okay? Like it doesn't get any better than that. Even if you are in the stadium, you might not get that experience. So I just see such a enormous potential on this thing. Well, before we end the video, just imagine the stratosphere in Las Vegas. So I visited Las Vegas recently, and I saw the stratosphere, and I was thinking, man, that should be amazing inside. Actually, I look up how to get the tickets to get in, and it was like a month away to get the tickets, and it's like $140 per person. Okay, very expensive, just to see like some video demos or something like that. Very expensive. But I was thinking, after I get this VR headset, a great VR headset could make the sphere look just ridiculous. Like nonsense. Like, why would you spend so much money in such a gigantic structure if you can just get a small headset and get an even better experience? Maybe. okay, or something similar. So yeah, just think about that. How much money that thing costs, and you can get something better with this thing, because with this thing you can turn your head around. Well, you can also turn your head around the sphere, but you get what I'm saying. You know, it's like the ultimate. That's how you see the value of this thing. It's just enormous. The potential is just enormous. So yeah, let's leave it there. Let me know your thoughts and opinions. What do you think about this? Have you tried this? I forgot the name of the app that I was watching. Maybe I will post that in a comment, so you can give it a try. If you have one of these, you can give it a try. It's like an app that has some 3D. It has some VR sporting events, and I was watching a UFC fight there. I'm not even sure if that was UFC, but it said UFC, but I don't know those fighters, so maybe it was like very old, early UFC or something. I don't know. And the resolution was not great. The frame rate was not great. That's why I'm saying that we do need that high resolution on VR, because we're looking at a enormous screen. So the resolution was not great. The frame rate was very low. It's like 30 FPS. But yeah, let me know if you tried, your thoughts and opinions, and if you have any questions.